Donald Trump has now taken his immunity claims to the Supreme Court. And the core of his entire argument before the Supreme Court is that, well, it goes back to John Marshall. Lucian Truscott IV wrote about this. His Substack is luciantruscott.substack.com, and did a great analysis of this, which is the source of my information. But the foundation of this, of their claim, their immunity claim, is found in Marbury versus Madison, the 1803 decision by John Marshall, the Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, in which the court took upon itself the power to strike down laws, or for that matter, to essentially create laws. But the other thing that you will find in the Marbury case is this idea of political questions that John Marshall wrote back in 1803, questions which are by the Constitution and laws submitted to the executive, in other words, submitted to the president, can never be made in this court. These are called discretionary acts. These discretionary acts are only politically examinable, and thus the president's official acts can never be examined by the courts. So that was what John Marshall said in 1803, that the courts cannot second-guess the president. So when the president is conducting the official business of the government. And I think, the whole point was we don't want the president being constantly harassed about every little thing he does or something like that. But so Trump is using this as the basis for his claim that he has immunity. He's saying, in fact, the heading on his brief that he filed with the Supreme Court is titled, President Trump was indicted for his official acts as president. So, let's look at those official acts. What is it that Trump is claiming were official acts? Well, his appeal says, quote, Trump used official channels of communication, including tweets and other public statements, contending that the 2020 federal election was tainted by fraud and irregularities that should be addressed by government officials, end quote, from his brief. So first, he's claiming that his official act is all the lies that he told, where he said that he won the election when, in fact, we all know that he lost it. The Supreme Court ruled that he lost it. 59 lower courts, judgments determined that he lost it. So that's number one. Back to Trump's filing. Second, he writes, or his lawyers write, indictment alleges that President Trump communicated with the acting attorney general and officials at the U.S. Department of Justice, which he saw as an integral part of his official duties as chief executive, about investigating suspected election crimes and irregularities and possibly appointing a new acting attorney general. The guy that he was, end of quote, the guy that he was thinking of appointing, that was Jeffrey Clark, who right now is under indictment in Georgia for listening to Trump's lies and following Trump's directions, as Lucian Truscott writes. Third, Trump's lawyers write to the Supreme Court, the indictment alleges that President Trump communicated with state officials about the administration of the federal election and urged them to exercise their official responsibilities in accordance with their conclusion that the 2020 presidential election was tainted by fraud and irregularities, end quote. And this is just a flat-out lie, right? Well, yes, he did communicate with those state officials, and he got them to engage in behavior, this phony slate of electors, that now has some of them going to jail. Fourth, Trump's brief to the court says, the indictment alleges that President Trump communicated to urge them to exercise their official duties in the election certification process. Right. In other words, he tried to get them to do the phony baloney thing. And then fifth, the indictment alleges that other individuals organized slates of alternate electors in 7 states. All of these things Trump is claiming were part of his official duties as president. Now, the appeals court found that none of these things have to do with his official duties as president, that his official duties as president, that all of these things have to do with campaigns and elections rather than being president. So we'll see where this goes, but Jack Smith has until Tuesday of next week, and I'm betting he's going to file a reply with the Supreme Court today, because he had to be ready for this. This is a guy who he has 16 ways to Sunday ready for whatever comes. So we'll see what happens.